And the Cardinals have lost 8 of their last 9 games at home. So that's why this line is a little confusing to me. And I think we've seen lines like this a few times so far this season. They're in must-win mode, but them being a favorite here is somewhat weird by the way that they've been playing on both sides of the ball and also the way that they've been playing at home, Tank. I felt like the Seahawks should have maybe been the favorites here, but I feel like the books are trying to make you, I don't know what the books are trying to do at this point. Maybe make you jump on the Seahawks getting a couple points and then the Cardinals just crush at home. Do you think that they can cover the 2-point spread?
I mean, this is interesting. I like to hear Jared's point on this because he was talking about how, the Minnesota Vikings, what are they, 6-1? Yeah, at the same time, he
Yeah.
feels like
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the stats, like in between, they're probably a little bit more average than what their schedule reflects. And so
Yeah.
now you have an Arizona Cardinals team that went up and they played a 6-1 team pretty competitively, had a chance to win at the end of the game. I mean, I think you can admit that the Arizona Cardinals look like a better team now that DeAndre Hopkins is back in the mix. Like they have a little bit of a
Yeah.
spark on offense, and you feel like they can, you know, connect on some of those third down situations and some of those red zone situations where in the past they really didn't have a go-to guy. That being said, like the Seattle Seahawks, I mean, they're a really good football team and they beat a really good football team. I know you've been high on the New York Giants and rightfully so. I mean, they usually play clean ball. They had some turnovers, special teams that probably led to them losing that game, but it was competitive all the way down to the end. The Seahawks were able to overcome like some mistakes on their own, like Tyler Lockett fumbling the ball like deep in their territory, giving the Giants, an easy score, and then Tyler Lockett missing the easy touchdown reception just because bad luck hits off his face mask, so maybe they end up beating the Giants by even more points. But that being said, Gino actually had like the calming presence going to Tyler Lockett, being like, "Hey, yo, you still the
Yeah.
best wide receiver. Like, I'm gonna come to you." And then Tyler Lockett makes a huge play. They're able to go in and score, and they ultimately win the game. And so I believe like we keep talking about Gino on a weekly basis, but he continues to earn more and more credit, not only by his performance, between those white lines, but even when you step on the sideline,
Yeah.
the leadership that he's showing. Like it's just truly remarkable. And it seems like the players, the coaches, the whole organization is buying in. And so when you just want to speak to like the betting angle on this, they only scored 28 points in that first matchup. I'm not sure if this is a trend that you follow, Jared, but I always like to look at some of these divisional games and I say like, oh, if it was a low scoring
Oh
affair
yeah.
in the first matchup, I expect a lot of points in the second matchup. It seems like it typically trends that
Yeah.
way. And so for this total to be 50 and a half, I mean, I would like if it was more so like in that 47, 48 range or something like that. But I would expect this game to be higher scoring more than lower scoring. In with Arizona being favored by -2. If you want to go out on the limb, I feel like Seattle's a solid football team. They play well on the road and at home. I mean, I would probably lean towards the Seahawks covering and lean towards an over, but you know me, I always like to go with the totals more so than,
Mm-hmm.
picking a certain team. But that would be my leans on both.
Yeah, well, the trends like to favor you because the underdog is 12-3-1 against the spread in the last 16 head-to-head meetings between these two teams, Jared. Can you see Geno Smith continuing his dominance and also the Cardinals continuing their lack thereof dominance on home
Mm.
turf?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tank. I think you really analyzed this game well because a lot of the things that you said, I'm seeing a lot of data points back it up. Last 2 weeks, Cardinals offense trending up, especially with their drop back success rate with Hopkins back in the lineup. Not running the ball well though, and that's because the offensive line is just so banged up. I'm looking at the depth chart right now. The entire left side: Humphreys, Garcia, Hudson at center, all
Yeah.
questionable. None of them played last week. Justin Pugh's already on IR, so that's why you saw some very interesting line movement last week. The Sharps loved Arizona early, bet that down to about 3.5. And then you saw the offensive line reports come out Saturday on who was going to play. And then you saw some money come back on Minnesota because it's just really tough to win in the NFL. You're seeing it with the Rams when you have huge injuries at a cluster at one key position. And for the left side of the offensive line, that's really important. Now, on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
the intangibles that Geno Smith are bringing, you can't quantify it. You can
You
quantify
can't.
some of the tangibles, which have been fantastic. His numbers, efficiency, completion percentage, all of that have been way above expectation. And then you look to the sidelines and you see those intangibles, and you have to make even more manual adjustments in a positive direction for the impact Geno Smith is having on this Seahawks roster. It is immeasurable. And Seattle is a playoff team. If the season ended today, they're the division champs. So you have to give a ton of credit to what's going on. And I also give a lot of credit to the defense. We talked about it last week. Clint Hurt, that unit's playing a lot better. They held Saquon Barkley to under 3 yards a carry and Daniel Jones to under 6 yards per attempt. Listen, the Giants were going to put up a stinker. It was going to happen. The numbers said it. I know Lauren Hughes kept wanting to go back
while you can.
You know what? They won me some good money this season so far.
I didn't get a chance on Monday's show. I was off on Monday, Tank. I got to get in a little bit here. Eventually, the fun was going to end for this. They just don't have a lot of talent. But now Arizona's got a lot more talent offensively. So this is a different game this week. The Giants don't have a DeAndre Hopkins. They don't have a Kyler Murray. So the talent discrepancy, big step up in class for the Seattle defense this week. I agree, Tank. I do think the total's telling me it's going to be a little higher scoring, and the line movement tells me Seattle's probably going to keep this close. But I kind of think Arizona puts their foot down here. I think Arizona's a buy low spot. This line opened 7 over the summer. Now it's 3, less than 3. So market says Arizona, but I could see Seattle keeping this close. I don't want to tune out the Seattle team. There's too many good things going on with the Seahawks for me to just completely ignore them.